Last year, there was a narrative that John Franklin Myers wasn't worth his contract once he got paid. We're going to discuss. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary, and today we're going to be discussing John Franklin Myers, his contract, if he's worth it, and pretty much just him going forward. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you haven't already, please make sure to check out the Just Jets podcast. New episodes every Monday. And dropping today is the new episode of Exit 16 West. We got Richie on. We're talking about the Jets schedule. We are also talking about Zach Wilson in year 2. Link to all of that is in the description below if you're interested. All right, so after a monster game against the Tennessee Titans last year in week 4, John Franklin Myers got #paid, and I was glad that he got paid. He was one of the more underrated Jets in 2020, and even again in 2021, after pretty much everyone in the world turned on him after he got paid. He got a 4-year deal worth $55 million. So the AAV on that is $13.75 million. It's a significant bump up in pay, obviously. It's not cream of the crop. We know the top of the line edge rushers are getting over $20 million a year, but it's a pretty nice chunk of change. And a lot of people weren't too happy with his production, but I'm kind of here to talk about it and why he actually wasn't too bad at all. So his 2021 season went like this. He finished with 6 sacks, 53 pressures, 9 quarterback hits, 38 hurries. Now, 3 of his 6 sacks came before the contract. So the natural reaction here is he went MIA in the second half of the year, which isn't exactly true. Obviously, I think his best game of the season was the Tennessee game. He was an absolute freak of nature in that game, but there's some other games on the slate in the second half of the year where he played really, really well. For instance, Indianapolis, the defense stunk that game. He still racked up 5 pressures. Against Miami, he had 7 pressures in that game. Houston, this is probably his second best game of the year, which was obviously after the contract. He got 3 pressures, a sack, and an interception. That's very good. We like that. We'll sign up for that. And against Buffalo in the final week of the year, 7 pressures, and 2 of them were quarterback hits. So he was very involved. And yes, the sack numbers aren't going to jump off the page. I don't really think he's ever going to be someone who gives you double-digit sacks, but he gives you value because of his versatility, too. He can play on the edge, which he did mostly last year, or he can play inside. In 2020, I think you can make the case that he was even more productive from the inside than he is as an outside rusher. And comparatively to the rest of the league, he was okay as an edge rusher. He really wasn't that bad on the outside. I think he's better than people are leading on or people even realize, even after the cold streak after getting paid. So he finished with the 19th. He finished 19th in the league, in pressures for edge rushers. Now, that's pretty solid. Again, is it top of the line? No, but you're not paying for top of the line. But to put that in perspective, that's more pressures than Jadeveon Clowney, Brian Burns, Cameron Jordan, Josh Allen, Chandler Jones, Robert Quinn, Hassan Reddick. So those are some pretty household names coming off the edge there, and he's at least giving you similar production, or even in some cases like significantly better pressure production than those guys. So he's getting after the quarterback just as good or even better than some of those guys. And 19th in the league in pressures. And if you go by AAV, average annual value, he's the 23rd highest paid edge player. So you're getting bang for your buck, even with going kind of ice cold at the end. And for 2022, I'm really looking forward to watching him play. Really, this whole defensive line, I think, is going to benefit from the additions, bringing in Jermaine Johnson, Carl Lawson coming back. I think that's going to allow John Franklin Myers to move back inside. And it'll be a mix in both. He's not going to be exclusively rushing from the inside, but he could do a little bit of everything. And I think utilizing that is going to be what really sets him apart and why I think he's going to be worth that contract. The Jets have the potential to have a really good pass rush this year. I still think even with the numbers going down in some instances, with really more so just on the sack production, after John FranklinMyers got paid, I think the narrative that he completely disappeared is inaccurate. And I think that's why only looking at sacks is flawed. Obviously, sacks is the end goal. You want those numbers to be up high, but you have to look at the full context. And I think if John FranklinMyers is giving you 50 plus pressures and 6 or more sacks in a season, then that's a good thing. Now, I don't want the Jets' lead sack guy to have only 6 sacks. That's a different conversation. We could talk about Carl Lawson's numbers coming back and going up. We could talk about Quinnen Williams. Like, if you want to make the case about Quinnen Williams having more than 6 sacks, that's maybe a different conversation because they're designed to do a couple of different things. They're not the same, or at least shouldn't be the same kind of caliber player, but you need guys on your roster like John FranklinMyers. Is he a star? No, I'm not going to tell you that he's a star. Of course not. But is he a plus starter and an underrated plus starter at that point? Yes, I think he is. And I think Joe Douglas got really good value on his contract. I think that's evident by him being 19th in pressures, but only the 23rd highest paid edge player in terms of AAV. So let me know what you think about John FranklinMyers in the comments down below. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary. Subscribe here if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.